People have also gathered at Indonesia's embassy and its consulates in Melbourne and Sydney, calling on President Joko Widodo to call off the executions. And also in Melbourne, Chan and Sukumaran supporters have been congregating at a church in the inner city suburb of Richmond. Australian artist Ben Quilty has posted a moving tribute to the Australian and foreign death row inmates on his Facebook page. Mr. Quilty says he expects Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran to provide comfort to those also facing execution until the last second. In his post, which has been circulated widely on social media, he says, "You may take their freedom and their lives, you may rob their fellow inmates of the support and love that both men have offered for so long, but you'll never kill the memory of them." The post is addressed to Indonesian President Joko Widodo. He goes on to say that Chan will calm and console the 7 others with them on Nusa Kambangan, while Sukumaran will translate the executioner's words. Mr. Quilty ends the post by saying, "I know that before the sound of your guns, the island will hear the comforting whisper of Myuran Sukumaran and Andrew Chan." Well, a group of Australian actors has made pleas for Prime Minister Tony Abbott to fly to Indonesia to bring Chan and Sukumaran home. The actors, including Brendan Carroll, Jeffrey Rush and Brian Brown, appear in this online video.
Mr. Abbott, please do your best to get these boys home and off execution road. Thank you.
I stand for mercy.
I'm an Australian and I stand for mercy.
I stand for mercy.
It's time to fight for our boys, Mr. Abbott.
Tony, if you had any courage and compassion, you'd get over to Indonesia and bring these 2 boys home and show some balls. Please, Prime Minister, do something to save our boys.
Show some ticket, Tony Abbott. Get to Indonesia. It's your job.
Please, save our citizens. I stand for mercy. Tony Abbott, you need to give diplomatic immunity and protection to Andrew and Myuran before it's too late.
But the clip has been criticised for being ill-informed and political, and it now appears to have been taken down from the Vimeo site. Actor Brendan Carroll, who appeared in the video, has since apologised for his comments, and the official Mercy campaign says it had nothing to do with it. But it's the plight of Filipino death row inmate Mary Jane Veloso that's captured worldwide online interest tonight. The hashtag #SaveMaryJaneVeloso is currently the top trend on Twitter worldwide and in Indonesia. 30-year-old Veloso was arrested in 2010 and found guilty of attempting to smuggle around 2.5 kilograms of heroin. She says she flew to Indonesia because a family friend had promised her a job as a maid, and she claims the woman was working with an international crime gang who had secretly placed the heroin in a suitcase that she was carrying. In Hong Kong, fellow Filipino migrant workers have protested against her execution. Dozens of people have gathered in front of the Indonesian consulate in the Chinese territory, urging President Joko Widodo to spare her. In the Philippine capital, Manila, people have also protested for Veloso in front of the Indonesian embassy. They're holding a 24-hour vigil ahead of the expected execution. And Filipino boxing champion Manny Pacquiao has also weighed in on the plight of Mary Jane Veloso, making a direct plea to the Indonesian president to save her. He's spoken from Los Angeles ahead of his highly anticipated match with Floyd Mayweather Jr.
His Excellency President Joko Widodo, I, Manny Pacquiao, on behalf of my countryman, Mary Jane Veloso, and the entire Filipino people, I am begging and knocking at your kind heart that your Excellency will grant executive clemency to her by sparing her life and saving her from execution. Mr. President, on May 2nd, I will fighting in Las Vegas, Nevada against Floyd Mayweather, which is considered the fight of the century. It will be a great morale booster if in my own little way I can save a life. I am dedicating this fight to my country and the entire Asian people to which the Philippines and Indonesia belong. Thank you, Mr. President.
And youth members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations have taken a stand to save Mary Jane Veloso from the firing squad. Through Indonesian Youth Representative Ardana Pragota, the ASEAN Youth Forum has handed a letter to Indonesian President Joko Widodo during the ASEAN Summit in the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur. The message, written in both Bahasa Indonesia and English, pleads for Mr. Widodo to exercise his executive powers to stop the execution of the 30-year-old mother of two in the name of human rights and the spirit of humanity. While another group called Youth Against the Death Penalty, which appears to be based in Indonesia, has also ramped up its online campaign to save all of the death row inmates. It's released a video which has been translated into English, Indonesian, French and the Philippine language Tagalog, calling on Indonesia to save the current group of prisoners facing execution. But it also calls for Indonesia's politicians to abolish the death penalty altogether. The video features activists as well as Mary Jane Veloso's two young children. And that's all from the social media reaction.
Yeah, this is Oscar Sabat TV.
Well, what a lot of crap that was.
For the sake of Andrew Chan and
Very one-sided indeed. They only showed the one side where people were bleeding hearts for the criminals who were about to be executed. My heart goes out to the families, the parents, the close friends of those who are about to be executed, but they did the wrong thing, with the exception of that Filipino woman who has been duped into doing something wrong. I do believe her story, and as you can see, the rest of the world agrees that she is the one that deserves mercy more than the rest. The others knew what they were doing. They were not mules. Only 7 were mules. There was 2 who were ringleaders. I'm sorry, but they rolled the dice, they lost, and now they must pay the price. May the good Lord rest their souls.